Welcome to Haygrove Garden Tunnels. Lovely morning this morning in Herefordshire, and we're going to give you a virtual tour of our tunnel. We get asked an awful lot of questions about our tunnels. We do a lot of shows around the country, but if you're not able to come to one of those, then we thought we'd give you a virtual tour of all the features and benefits of the Haygrove Tunnel. This tunnel behind me is a 4 metre by 10 metre tunnel. We do tunnels in all sorts of different widths and lengths, which you can see on the website. A lot of people, we get asked a lot of questions about, should I be buying a tunnel? What sort of tunnel should I be buying? Should I buy a glass house? So hopefully we can answer some of those questions today. The key features of these tunnels are their strength and their ventilation, which are two of the things that bother people most when they're trying to grow inside. A lot of people have issues that they live in a windy site, and so they're very concerned the tunnels will blow away. We'll be able to demonstrate how that won't happen with these tunnels. And we'll also be demonstrating how their growing capability and their ability to control temperature and humidity. When we designed the tunnel, we were very mindful of getting the shape and all the dimensions right. Unlike a lot of polytunnels, which are quite semicircular in shape, we've designed a tunnel that has very straight sides, as you can see behind me. So you have an ability to stand very close to the side and still have plenty of headroom. And we've also made the tunnels quite tall, so the centre of the tunnel, the top, the apex there, is just under 2.5 metres. We do that so that it conforms with planning regulations. So we have a straight-sided, tall tunnel, nice to work in and good to grow in. One of the questions we get asked a lot is about how to lay out a polytunnel. This is a 4 metre wide tunnel. We do two widths. We do a 3 metre wide one and a 4 metre wide one. I actually prefer the 4 metre wide one because you can see down here the way this is laid out. You can have quite a wide central bed, just over 1 metre wide, which is in the middle of the tunnel. This is the best part of the tunnel, the middle. It's the warmest, it's the tallest part, where you can grow tall crops like these sunflowers and tomatoes. You then have a sort of 50 centimetre path either side of that bed, which means you don't have to reach too far to get right across this bed. And then on the left and the right, you have two further beds of about 75 centimetres. And this is a great way to lay out a tunnel. It gives you good access. It utilises the best bits of the tunnel. With a 3 metre tunnel, it's a little more hard to do that. You tend to have one central pathway and two wider beds. So it's worth thinking about that when you're deciding whether to have a 3 metre wide tunnel or a 4 metre wide tunnel. And my advice is, if you have plenty of space, always go for the 4 metre tunnel. It's better for growing in, and it's also very good value for money. One of the accessories available in the Haygrove tunnels is the potting tables. These can go anywhere within the tunnel. They sit within the 2 metres between the hoops. They are mounted on these brackets at the back, so they can be at any height. You can have them right down here, you can have them up here, depending on your height or whether you want to sit down. They can take a lot of weight, and when you're not using them, you can just clip them up out the way, up onto here, and so you can utilise the space underneath for growing. So a really good addition to the Haygrove tunnel. As I mentioned in the introduction, strength of tunnels is one of the things people worry about most. We get an awful lot of people that come to us and say, we live in such a windy location, we can't have a tunnel, but because we have so much wind, we can't grow veg. Well, you really can. These tunnels are incredibly strong. This is 40 mil by 2mm tube. We've used the same steel that we use in our commercial tunnels, and they're held in the ground with these anchors. So a tunnel this size would have about 40 of these anchors put in to the ground through the base plate down here. You can see these have already been knocked in. They're 80 centimetre rebar. They go into an angle, and then once they're all in place, then the tunnel will not get lifted, and the strength of the tubes ensure that it will take virtually any wind. This spring we had a lady who bought a tunnel right up in the top of Scotland, above Inverness, ring us up after one of the really big gales that they had in the spring in that part of the world, and she rang us to say that she'd lost the roof on the house overnight, but the tunnel was still standing. So I think that says quite a lot about the strength of our tunnel. The traditional way of securing the material to the frame is to dig a trench. bury the polythene and to use the weight of the soil on top of it to get the tightness of the polythene. We've steered completely away from that and come up with a new solution, so you don't have to dig a trench. We have on the back of the base plate, we have a piece of steel channel. We tighten the polythene down. We then use these blue zigzag wires, two of you tension the poly down, then you just work this zigzag wire into that channel. That holds it really tight and is a much simpler and more effective way than having to dig trenches and bury polythene. One of the other unique points about our tunnel is that we don't use any wood in the frame. Quite a lot of tunnels have wooden gable ends or wooden doors. We've steered away from that, and the whole frame is galvanized steel. So from the base plate, which you can see down here, this is a galvanized steel base plate, to all the hoops, all the struts, everything about the tunnel is galvanized steel. The reason we do that is longevity. If you buy one of these tunnels, you'll have the steel frame for life. Getting the right covers for your tunnel is really important. We use quite an unusual material. This is a woven material that is laminated on both sides to give it really good strength. This material is lasting typically between 9 and 12 years. The other property apart from strength that we use, the reason we use it for, is that it diffuses half of the light. So about 50 to 55% of the light, when it hits the top of this, will get scattered. And that takes away quite a lot of the harshness of the sunlight, meaning unlike sometimes on the glass we can get quite a lot of scorch, it'll reduce scorch or almost take scorch away and also help reduce temperature on hot days. One of the big challenges with polytunnels and glass houses is how to keep temperature at a reasonable level during the summer. As soon as you have a glass or plastic, anything underneath it will heat up. So having really good ventilation is absolutely key to the success of your tunnel, both for you being able to work in the tunnel comfortably and for your crops to grow well. So one of the great benefits of the Haygrove tunnel is that standard on both sides of the tunnel is this roller vent. You pull the handle out, roll the vent up, and underneath this layer of plastic is an insect net. So this will keep all your butterflies and thrips and aphids out, but allow a flow of air across the tunnel. It's the full length of the tunnel, as I say. It's on both sides, and this, alongside the diffusing properties of the material that we cover the tunnel with, allows you to maintain a really good temperature and humidity right through the hot summer months.